Hey, this is Dr. Sonja, and welcome back to Dr. Sonja TV, The Wisdom Vault. Today is about relationships. If you haven't noticed right now how calm I'm coming in, because this is really a fireside chat that I want to have. If you are single right now, please listen closely. These are some of the things that I wish I knew in my very young age, I would say in my early 20s, is all about how to choose the right partner. Now, you didn't hear me say choose a perfect partner. And if you were to hear me say perfect partner, is the perfect partner for you. It doesn't have to be the person for everyone else, but the perfect partner for you. One of the things that I would really ask you to think about is asking all the questions up front. Now, what I don't mean is you're on your first date and you're asking, what about this? How many kids do you have? What about this? No. That's not what I mean. I mean being very subtle with it without sounding like you're an inspector general or an investigator, but really having general conversation, because I believe that's a lot of things, or that's one of the reasons and problems that we have today. Marriage is not like it used to be when our grandmothers and our great-grandmothers were married. And let's be honest here. Most of them stayed in relationships and the husband or the spouse had a whole nother family around the corner, down the street, across town. These days, women, we don't have to settle at all, per se, right? Because we do have options. And some of you that are listening, or you may be listening to me right now, your option is, I don't want to get married, and that's on you. But whether you're single or you're already married or you're looking to date and get married in the future, I want you to think about asking questions. Dr. Sonja, what questions should I be asking? What is it that you want your future to be? Is one of them. Now, I want you to be listening, not to just what they're saying, but what they're not saying. And be very positive about what they're saying and not thinking, oh, they're out to do this. No. Now, if you're having that conversation with yourself, you need help and you need therapy. I'm talking about a woman right now that has had the necessary counseling or coaching to help her heal from a past or broken relationship. That's who I'm talking to right now. I'm not talking to you if you are still broken, heartbroken, still hurt behind the last relationship. And I'm not saying you can't be hurt or disappointed, but if you're still feeding off of that, and you haven't got the needed help, this conversation is not for you. What I'm going to highly recommend you do is go get therapy so you can heal. Because what you don't want to do is get into a relationship where you think that two people that are broken coming together is going to make a whole, and it's not. And if you're sitting here thinking when you get your mate or whoever you select to be in your life, they're supposed to make you happy, you are sadly mistaken. Now back to what I was saying. Ask the right questions. Where do you see your future being? The next question is, what did the last person in your life, what would they say about you if I were to ask? Right? And you're going to be able to tell if you ask that person that question, and if they get, how could you ask me that? Well, I don't care what they say. You better know you're with someone who is still scarred. You may want to run and leave your shoes if you have to. Right? And so think about, what would the last person in your life say about you? And they say, God, they'll probably say I did this. Listen to what they're saying, but also listen to what they're not saying. The third question, how do you feel about children? Do you have children? And maybe it's a weekend or something like that. These questions need to be asked early on, within the first 30 days. Don't get caught up in, I'm just so in love. I'm in love with being in love. No, honestly, as you get older, and I'm just being honest, it's still about love, but it's not all of just love. What is it? Does the person bring happiness and joy into your life? Can they help you be a better person and not make you a mean and unhappy person? Right? And so how do you feel about children? Do you have children? Now, this is one thing I'm going to say. Be mad if you want to. If you meet him and he has children and he has no relationship with his children, red flag. I don't care what you say, unless he shares with you that the baby mom won't let him sing. Now, that's a different story. I'm not talking about that. But if he says, I ain't got nothing to do with him or do with them, you need to pay attention to that. very closely. That is a red flag, again, unless the child's mother won't allow him or her or whomever to see them. That's something you need to think about. And I always think about, before I got married, now I thought about when I met someone and they had children. And if there's a mother still involved, God forbid something happened to the mom, I become the mother figure. And I took that serious. So I wasn't just going to be in a relationship just to be in one, but if there's a child involved, where are you in the relationship with all of that? And gentlemen, if you're watching, this goes for her as well. Where your babies at, ma'am? Where are they? Who's got them? Why are they there? The next thing, what type of career? Now, let me say this. This is not for you to go. And ladies, I got to say this. Please don't be that chick that thinks you go get a man for the bag and all of that. Get your own bag first. How about that? Well, he needs to have this. Well, do you have that? And if you don't say you want that if you're not providing that for yourself. Be very open to where he is in his career or where he wants to go. And I truly believe this. We are multipliers. And if we get with a person, we are to multiply and help him be better if we're a great person. If we're not a good person, we're going to make his life miserable and they're not going to want to be there. Just be happy and whole before you show up in the relationship and ask the right question. My last question. What type of relationship do you have with your parents? And I'll just say this, I've seen more scarred men out there. We talk about women being scarred, but there's some men out there that are going through it as well. But I don't believe that men have the opportunity to share their hurt and their pain because many of them, and I'll be honest, especially black men or men of color, have not been trained. Not all of them. This is not true for all of them. But for many, they have not been trained, one, how to show their emotions, how to communicate how they feel, because the world and the culture, you have to be hard, a hard man. You don't cry. What? That same young man he was growing up and how he was trained is going to be per se. If he doesn't get the much needed help, he's going to be that same young man in the relationship that you're in. Ask the right questions. Listen to what he's saying and what he is not saying long before you say, I do, or you move in with someone. As I said before, I know marriage is different than the way it used to be because how the world has shown that it's okay for you to have kids and not be married. Shown it's okay, just move in together. You don't have to think about getting married. And that's simply because we haven't had great examples of what that looks like. And I end with this. Start thinking about who you are as a person and what you want to attract in your life. Whoever you are is going to attract that very thing out there. And so start paying close attention to that. Here's to love, and here's to finding that person that wants you, or finding the person that you just don't want in your life. You want them around you. It's the person that you can't live with, but it's the person you can't live without. This is Dr. Sonja. I'll see you next time on the Wisdom Vault.